The Joe Rogan Experience.
I think we talked about this before in relation to the communist era in Eastern Europe. That's sort of part of the point that the humiliation of going along with things you know aren't true ends up having an effect down the road because you just nod anything along.
Yeah, I have a friend who grew up Mormon, and one of the things she said to me once, it was really interesting. She said, because she left the church, and she said, I'm really susceptible to bullshit. It's a real problem.
Wow.
And so she started, she had gotten mixed up with some yogi type people and guru type people, and
right.
people that were running these weird little sort of self-help things that were very cult-like. And she goes, I have a real problem. I'm very susceptible. She goes, because I grew up agreeing to things that are nonsensical. And because of that, because I had just given all of my, when you just all of your opinions are decided by a church, and the church was written by a 14-year-old boy in 1820.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And
he'd already had a conviction for fraud.
Yeah, he was already full of shit at 14.
That was a giveaway.
Yeah,
that was a definite giveaway.
Well, if you read the tenets of the religion, first of all, they're wonderful people. Mormons are some of the nicest.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like beating up on Mormons.
They're so nice
because they're so nice.
Yeah.
It's actually, if there were more Mormons, it wouldn't be so bad.
If you could just take out the crazy, you got a good religion.
Yeah. But wow, how much crazy. Anyway,
right. But it's sort of the same principle sort of applies to when people just accept, with wokeism, when you accept these ideological givens that aren't logical. They don't make any sense.
I wonder if it's the same with societies. I think that it's a thing like post-religious peoples. Just because you've lost the religion doesn't mean you've lost the religious instinct.
Right.
You're still looking for it.
It seems like that's an inherent part of being a person.
I agree, and I don't say it's bad. It's just it is part of what we are, and it seems to me very clear that, for instance, you take Christianity out, and other things will be put in, and they don't even need to be identifiable religions.
Right.
Our own age has decided in much of the West that there's this sort of form of watered down spillover of Christianity, which will become the sort of religion, which is the kind of diversity, inclusion, equity world where you constantly struggle for greater justice, all of which is a sort of very watered down version of a little bit of Christianity.
There's a clear genesis of that too in the woke world. There was a group at a certain point in time. Do you remember when the atheist movement had hit this Atheist Plus movement? Do you remember Atheism Plus?
What was that?
It was weird. And it was a bunch of these weird virtue-signaling male feminist types that were adding, with atheism, a group of core values.
Oh, wow.
About, being anti-discrimination, anti-sexist, anti-racist.
Their own 10 Commandments.
Yes. And so they called it Atheism Plus. And I remember watching this guy give this speech, this fucking boring speech, on this sort of establishing this idea that because you don't have a religion, so we're going to be atheists, but with plus, we can establish sort of a moral framework.
Well, it's totally understandable and a disaster, of course.
Even if the ideas are good, it's like you're putting it in an ideology. You're creating a dogma. You're creating
all those new atheists who sort of started off in the 2000s, like our friend Sam Harris and others. They, in my experience, they all got a little bit nervous about what was on their shoulders. Christopher Hitchens certainly did. He started, I think, latterly in his life to get a little bit nervous about what was happening. I remember once asking him what about it. He said people were starting to ask him to officiate at their weddings.
Oh,
yeah, and that was like he didn't say anything of what he said was wrong. He still obviously believed everything he believed, but that's a slightly troubling place to be in, because you start to sense people are wanting you to replace the vicar or the priest, and that's not the point. Then you're in Life of Brian territory, aren't you? It's like, I want, you should all think for yourselves. Yes, we all think for ourselves. It was always a problem of atheism, was like it was an invitation to to not do one thing.
Yeah.
But nothing follows from it as to how you should live your life. It's the start of something. It's not by any means a beginning of a policy.
Do you think that's just an inherent thing about being a tribal primate, that we have this desire to have someone wiser, a leader, and then even better if you can have like a godlike figure who gives you a set of rules that you have to follow, or there are horrendous consequences, and it keeps everyone in line?
Yeah, absolutely. I always, in the 2000s, I started to think, if somebody came along and declared prophethood at the moment, they could do quite well. Mm-hmm. I mean, think of those hucksters on U.S. television who still take money from people, saying that they can only build the church and have their helicopter if you send in your dollars. Yeah. You know, those people still exist. There's a guy who's still selling his like silver water that he blesses from the River Jordan or something. It comes out some hose in his garden in Texas. You know, yeah. And there are people who've been busted repeatedly, and they're still selling their wares. I always thought, if somebody actually made the prophet claim in our era, I think people would be surprised how many people would go along with it. It's the late George Steiner described a phrase I love: nostalgia for the absolute. I love that phrase, a nostalgia for the absolute. I think a lot of people have it. I have it. We all have it to some extent. And the question is whether you can avoid it taking you to places that would demoralize you and lead you to a bad place.
Yeah, I think if someone came along and had a really good cult, like a real solid cult, like really well laid out, be rational, think for yourself, be kind, examine all evidence, like people would join into that, and then it would...
Yeah. It always ends up with like a massive orgy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It always ends up with like you got to give me all your money, I get to fuck your wife.
Exactly. Like Wild Wild Country. It's like, it's all about peace, and it's like, nah, you got to school the women.
Wild Country is amazing.
I love
that documentary is so good.
I love that.
That guy Osho had some really interesting...
You still see his books in some places. Like in the Netherlands, a little while ago, they had his books still in the bookshops.
You can buy them on Apple, on the Apple bookstore. I've read a couple of them.
I do like that bit where he says in one of his speeches, he says,
the people are retarded. By the people, for the people, of the people. But the problem is, the people are retarded. It should be by the retarded, for the retarded. It's like, oh my God. A guru saying that. And it's something about the fact that he's dead now, and then like he said it decades ago. It's like...
But we are searching for things at the moment.
Yeah,
and it seems very obvious to me. I mean, what plenty of people have called them, like things like the religion of anti-racism and the religion of social justice, all that stuff. They are all something to do, you know.
Yes.
At some very, very deep level. Like you've had your purpose today. Like you've had your 5 fruit and veg. You've had your meaning.
Yeah, you've had your meaning.